Hello. I would like to introduce you to our special guest today. Joan Cook is a member of Trinity United Church here in Oakville and has been a friend of our congregations for many years. Our relationship began over 20 years ago when we decided to support Roofs for the Roofless, an organization in India that supports many rural villages. Joan is considered a Canadian ambassador for that organization and has a very personal relationship with Roofs and the founding family. A few months ago, Joan returned from her 10th visit to India. Our support for Roofs began with the little white house that you may have seen in the narthex on Sunday mornings, a vessel for collecting loose change to turn into bowls of rice, among other things, for those in the villages supported by Roofs. In more recent years, Roofs has been the recipient of some of the Glencoe funds for larger projects such as classroom building and supplying sewing machines and computers for the schools. We are grateful to Joan for bringing to us the opportunity to offer help to those who face struggles that most of us can't even imagine, and for being with us today to share some of her stories and insights from her experiences with Roofs.
It's my privilege to be showing you this story of Roofs for the Roofless. I'd like to, at first, just give you a bit of background. It started in the 1982, actually, Roofs was formed, and it began on campus of Madras Christian College, which is south of what is known as Chennai now. It was called Madras quite a while ago. And it began with the Devanesan family, who Chandran Devanesan was the chancellor of Madras Christian College, and he lived on campus while he filled his position for almost about 20 years with his wife Savitri and their 3 sons. They were a Christian family. They were very knowledgeable of the poverty and suffering in the villages south of that campus. And they used to take the boys on the weekends with food and clothing and medicines for some of the villagers. Through Chandran's influence and through the Institute of Development and Education, they formed the charity Roofs for the Roofless. One of the very first projects that they accomplished was replacing the thatched roofs of the mud huts. The story was brought to Trinity United Church in 1983 by one of the sons and his wife. They both had become doctors and had moved to Oakville. They became part of our congregation, and they brought the story of Roofs for the Roofless, and we became involved in fundraising. My husband was killed suddenly in 1989, and in lieu of flowers, I decided to set up a memorial fund in his name. And the memorial fund was in the name of Roofs for the Roofless. It was so overwhelming. I decided that I would take it myself. I kept getting this feeling during that summer that I was to do just that, even though I had never been on a plane or we had never taken a vacation. But I left. I left the day after Christmas in 1989. When you look at the map, you'll see that the city of Chennai, which is in the south of India, And the villages are located about 28 kilometers below that city. I brought this design. It's called Column, meaning celebration. You'll see it on the streets in front of doorsteps. And they're usually painted with chalk every morning, freshly, which brings joy to the surroundings, but it does mean celebration. Here's a larger one. For many years after her husband died in 1982, Savitri, his wife, took over. She died just in 2015, excuse me, and she was 99 years old, still going into the office a half a day. And she has been very much a part of my life for the 10 trips that I have taken since 1989 to Roofs for the Roofless. The city is very crowded, not very clean. It's about the size of Mississauga, and now there are 13 million people living in that city. They take up every sidewalk space, park space. You will even see some living on the rooftops, in the parks. I took this picture of a girl doing her family washing. Animals are wandering here and there. And many people, because they are in such need of extra rupees, they're selling their wares on the street, even doing their crafts and hoping to sell them. Fruits and vegetables are being sold on the street for city dwellers taken out of the villages. Flower vendors. I love this picture. It's almost like she's saying, we are not going to leave here until we sell everything. As I said, the villages are about 25 kilometers south of the city of Chennai, once called Madras. Dirt roads. Now, many of these roads have been paved. The city is slowly moving into these villages. This is the Roofs emblem, and the logo is Roofs is more than thatch and bamboo. It is the sign of living hope in these villages. You will see even on the dirt roads, the column design, a design of joy. As I said, one of their first projects was replacing the thatch roof, which easily is destroyed during bad weather and cyclones. It is replaced with a sand brick home, very small, which cost about $300 when I first started in '89. It is now close to $2,000. The bricks are handmade and dried, made right there on village soil. They started with one village, there now are 18, and originally they would hold health clinics to try and improve the health of the villagers. They held clinics where some of the health workers would come and treat villagers who were ill, tuberculosis, this little This little person had an eye infection, and you can see the tummy is swollen. That's from hunger. Bringing a sick granddaughter. They handed out medicines. And some of the villagers were taught to create more nutritious meals from the crops that they did grow around them. And in this case, there was a lack of firewood, and they used cow dung to burn. The other projects that Ruth is involved in now is taking care of the seniors in these villages. Many of the fields have been confiscated by the government for industrial purposes, and their families are now working in the city. They've come out of the farms to try and find work. Notice the column design in front of the first seniors village that had the village hut had a thatched roof. They come every day to be looked after. There's music and singing. This little grandson has come to be with his grandfather during lunchtime. And at that time, when I first went to Ruth's, everything was cooked with firewood and on the basic floor. Now, Ruth's has been able to install a kitchen. Here I am visiting the seniors and helping them out with a few rupees. At first, they replaced clean water, which was coming just from the buffalo hole, for their washing and for their drinking and cooking. When I would go to visit, I would wait for the milk to be brought to a boil 3 times before they were able to drink it. And the children would gather around waiting for their cups of milk to come, and we would sing and together while they collected clean water from wells that Ruth began to install. This is a single well, a bore well. There were larger ones put in for the villagers to share. As I said, many of the crops have been confiscated by the government, particularly the rice and the wheat fields. They brought in artificial insemination for the cattle so that the milk product would be purer. This is a farmer that has lost his land. It has been replaced, as I said, by government, mostly technical industries, such as Google. And they have erected very large condo-type buildings where the industrial workers can stay. But they've also started to pave the roads and set up shops and to build more and larger sand brick homes that have been paved over. You still will see the odd huts, which roofs are still trying to replace when rupees are available. And I think I mentioned that many of the farmers have gone into the fields, from the fields, have gone into the city to work in construction. Even the women, whether they are pregnant or not, they join their husbands and the male workers in order to earn enough rupees for their families back in the villages. Many new projects have been taken over in the villages as they've lost their farm. Pottery, and this potter had let one of his nails grow very long, and as the bowl was being molded, he was using his nail to make a design on the side. Many of the women are getting together to basket weave, home industries. And then in 2002, the Chandran Devanesan, that was, remember, he was the Chancellor of Madras Christian College. He died in '82, and in his memory, they have erected a small rural college. This is the entrance of the college, and in the front entrance, before the front entrance, there is a column design with a sign that says, talk and action. Thinking well is good, planning well is better, but doing well is best. And Mr. and Mrs. Saker are I call them the den parents. Many of these students are taken off the street where they have been begging. Many of them only have up to a grade 10 education. So they're given extra courses, and this college is connected with the Tamil Nadu University that is in Chennai, and they are given a selection of a number of courses that they can take and graduate in. Some of these courses have been, the money has been donated by the Glen Abbey United Church through the Glencoe Trust Fund that is being taken from Del Manor. And in 2015, they were able to send money to donate more computers and upgrade their computer courses for the women and for the men. And at that time, there was an organization in England that supplied solar energy to these classrooms. Now that was in 2015. 2019, there was another project that was helped upgrading their sewing machines as well. And I have a picture a little along the way with that. That was also in 2015. The next project that was in 2019, which Glen Abbey gifted 2 roofs, was for the air conditioning mechanic studies. And when I was there my last trip in at Christmas time of this year, I saw the building that had been erected for these students. And as you can see, this is the plaque, and at the bottom it says, appreciates the generous support of Glen Abbey United Church Outreach Fund. And this is the building. Here are a few pictures of celebration of its opening, getting ready to cut the ribbon and unveil the plaque. And whenever something of this magnitude takes place, they have a very special celebration candle that is lit, and they are rejoicing at this, with this gift. And here are the students. The next project that is going to take place, and I'm assuming it'll be after the pandemic and they can build, for the nursing students, they are going to install a teaching board. It's called a smart board, and it will be used in it's computerized. It will be used in their studies for the other courses as well. There are other courses given in hairdressing, barbering, and I said I did have slides of the garment making that was supported in 2015, along with the computers. Many of the girls that are seamstresses bring their children along, and Ruth was able, through Glen Abbey, to provide electric sewing machines rather than treadles, which was very hard on the legs. Even feeding their babies while they're on the job. And at that time, Savitri used to take some of the garments that were made for the village children and give them away. I'm going to, at this time, tell you about the project that I became involved in as a gift, my very own gift to Roofs for the Roofless, which was installing a kindergarten for the village children. It's called a Belvadi, and it has about 25, 28 children from the age of 3 through 6. At first, when I first went in 89, 90, this was a Belvadi that had been converted from an old chicken coop. We even stayed and were able to feed some of the children with a meal, a gruel that was prepared. You will see lots of swelling tummies from hunger. But with the Ron Cook, my husband's memorial fund, I was able, now this is the building that was built in 1992, and since we have refurbished it. Many children standing outside the door. It's called the Ron Cook Belvadi. And a few years ago, it was damaged very badly in a cyclone. And we had it repaired, and this is the Belvadi now, with a beautiful column design that greets me every time I visit. Roofs takes care of it when I am not there. There also is a bathroom that has been built rather than just an open hole in the ground. At first, this was their kitchen where milk and food was prepared. But I think I showed you a picture before of the new kitchen that is shared with the seniors. And here they are, drinking their milk, which has been brought to a boil 3 times. But now they have a main meal during the day with rice and often a half of a boiled egg. Have a nap time. And I've even been able to install playground and swings, which they just love. Many of them had never, ever seen a swing or a slide. before. The children get health checkups, they're fed daily, and the kindergarten or the Belvadi has supplies provided for them. These children will perhaps end up going to a government school. Some of the schools have over 100 children with only 2 teachers. Some of them will be privileged enough maybe to go to a private school in the city, but very few. Most of these boys and girls will perhaps never go beyond their village boundaries. And so I said goodbye with a heavy heart. We had some Christmas celebrations. Here I am saying goodbye to many of the mothers and children in December. Left with a sad heart, but I will return, and I do keep in touch through my computer, email, and through the director, Dylan Devanesan, who actually lives in Australia and travels back and forth. Through the pandemic, which is just running rampant in India, they are having a very difficult time. And Roofs has had to let about 15 of their staff members go. Finances are difficult, but their hope is great, and they continue to give life and their way of life joy and meaning as they continue to help them. And of course, Glen Abbey has been a tremendous support, and we are so very, very grateful. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And perhaps in the near future, because I will go again, I will bring you another update on Roofs for the Roofless. God bless.
Joan, on behalf of the Outreach Committee and Glen Abbey United Church, we would like to thank you for enlightening our minds and hearts today about Roofs for the Roofless. Roofs is certainly fortunate to have you as their advocate for so many years and as their Canadian ambassador. The compassion you have comes through when you speak about the Bawaldi kindergarten. This is a wonderful legacy in memory of your late husband and you yourself. Your passion and dedication to the oppressed people in rural India is unmatched. You are truly an inspiration to all of us, as your commitment to Roofs encouraged us on the Outreach Committee to support Roofs through the use of Glencoe funds for international outreach.